Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about the leaked live action Powerpuff trailer. So, yeah, that was interesting. That was really interesting. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this trailer and the canceled show overall. I've talked about the canceled show back in the day, and they really could have had something if they just were tweaked their show and change some things up. But nevertheless, it was canceled, and probably for the best reason, because people would have been trashing this every single day. But they really could have had something there, because in entirety, it's not all that bad. I like the set pieces. I like the idea it was gonna be live action, but like I said before, it was gonna be difficult for a couple of reasons. And then when the leaked script came out years ago, it was just kind of like, this ain't gonna flow with people. And then, like, when one of the actresses left the show because of scheduling conflicts, whatever. I knew it was dead in the water after that. Because, I mean, after that pilot was filmed and it had to be completely reworked, she most likely she was just probably like, this ain't worth it. This ain't worth it. Oh man. But it's funny. A couple of days ago, I was saying in my head, like, man, I really wish the live action Powerpuff would leak online, like the pilot episode. Well, we didn't get no pilot, but we got a trailer. And that's gonna have to be good enough. And as soon as that trailer came out, the WB shut it down. Oh boy, because I remember yesterday, this is when it leaked. Like, I was editing my Pretty Little Liars season 2 video, and so I was like off the internet all day. Then I got on YouTube, and this one video got recommended by this user I watch, and I'm all like, this is some interesting AI generated Powerpuff Girl stuff. I'm all like, well, hold up. No, this is real. I'm all like, oh my God, did the pilot leak? And so I read a couple of comments and no, just a trailer and talking about how it got taken down. So I went to YouTube and I could not find it nowhere. I would have assumed somebody would have uploaded it on YouTube or something, you know what I'm saying? But no, all I could find was reaction videos, and I did not want to watch those because most of the reaction videos are like either very toxic from toxic people who just want to make comedic videos, and then there are the normal people. But I wanted to watch it without hearing what they had to say. And so I thought to myself, I did something normally I don't do. I went to Twitter. And there and lo and behold, it was there in its entirety. There was a teaser trailer and the entire trailer, which is about 3 minutes. And so I watched it and everything, and I kind of wanted to throw up a little bit. But only a little bit. And it's quite a shame because I want a live action Powerpuff Girls, like something, you know what I'm saying? Because I like when my animated stuff becomes live action. I'm still hoping for a live action Dexter's Laboratory or Johnny Bravo, which I don't think Johnny Bravo is going to fit too well in a post Me Too era. But they can tweak it around a little bit. But I love Powerpuff Girls, man. I remember back when I was it was either my last year of high school or I was in college, something like that. It was my last year of high school, and so I'm flipping around. I just got cable. My family just got cable for the first time, and I'm flipping around see what I can watch. And I ended up on something called Cartoon Network, and I saw a bunch of little cartoon characters that I've never seen before just partying on Friday night. what was it? Friday cartoons or whatever it's called. That little after party thing they would have. And I love that, man. That's when I found out about Dexter's Laboratory and Johnny Bravo and the Powerpuff Girls. I had never heard of a Powerpuff Girls before, and they were just insane. These teeny tiny little girls in elementary whooping the snot out of monsters and adults and everything with superpowers, some being villains. And when I say knock the snot out of them, they will bust their mouths wide open. Teeth, blood, or guts will fly, brains, you name it. But it all started as a short called the Whoop Ass Girls and stuff. But of course, they had to change it for Cartoon Network, and they became the Powerpuff Girls. And they was like the cutest, most adorable little thing ever. And so when the CW announced a couple of years back that they was going to make it, I asked myself, well, how the heck are you going to make the Powerpuff Girls? Because the Powerpuff Girls don't look like normal little girls. They have these big, round, oval-shaped heads. They don't have a neck. They don't have fingers, and they don't have feet. They don't have noses, and they don't have ears. And they have these big, bug-eyed looking eyes and no lips to their mouths and everything. And just a very slender shape, like, Raggedy Ann type doll look to him. So I was just kind of like, how the heck are you gonna do that in like live action? Either you're gonna have to get some really weird prosthetics, or use CGI, or just make them look like normal humans, like the anime. Yes, there is a Powerpuff Girl anime out there where they look like normal little girls and stuff like that. I watched it on YouTube. I only watched like 1 or 2 episodes, something like that. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, for this live action thing, they're gonna have to go the normal human route. Okay, fine. But then they announced they were gonna be adults. Adults who gave up the superhero crime fighting business many years ago and now live normal lives and have to get back into the swing of things and everything. And I thought to myself, oh, it's going to be one of those stories where we're not going to see them as little kids whooping on adults and everything like that, which should have been the route they would have went with. Now, when you look at this trailer, and you see them as adults and you see the way everything looks in the trailer, it looks very goofy and very hokey and very corny. However, that is Powerpuff Girls. Powerpuff Girls is very hokey, very corny, and very cheesy and stuff. But it works better when they're teeny tiny little girls. And so if they would have kept them like this and still had what was going on in the show, I think people would have been a little bit more okay with it. But then also change the script of their adult lives. Like, take that out because that's too raunchy for the show. And the thing about the Powerpuff Girls is that they always had adult and sexual innuendos in the show, but they never flat out went there. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was always innuendos, and that's what made it funny and everything. But when they just put it there, in the way it looks, then it comes off very odd. But I do think it would have fared just a little bit better if they would have had like the kids, with the colorful background and stuff and changed some things here and there. Then I think it would have been a little bit more enjoyable. However, it was going to be on the CW, and that therein lies a problem. The CW is mostly regarded as a joke. Many people don't like the CW, some people do. Sometimes they have good stuff there and sometimes they don't. After its initial start and they dropped all their older programs, they went ultra progressive and everything, and that turned a lot of people off, but it also enticed a lot of other people. They had diversity on their show. The CW, just like UPN, is where you went if you wanted diverse content and everything. And they had diversity, everything in terms of like women, the LGBT, and also that of people of color. But then they also went ultra progressive when Hollywood went their version of like woke, especially in like, certain trigger words that you would hear here in this trailer, like Buttercup talking about like she's not wearing a dress because it's not gender neutral and something about conforming to something or something like that. And like, stuff like that. And that's because that's just the direction Hollywood was like going into. So some people don't like the CW for that. But for the most part, I grew up on UPN and then it later became the CW. I tuned out of the CW because they mostly just had a bunch of like adult dramas and everything. They had like daytime soap type dramas that would air at night. They would remake stuff and have like spin-off reboots like Beverly Hills 90210 and then like Melrose Place, but it was the rebooted version and stuff. I watched the originals back in the day, but they had the rebooted version with the younger cast, a bunch of Vampire Diary spinoffs, and some other things mostly based off of YA novel type stuff, which I was not really into at that time. And for the most part, I'm kind of still not. Then, they also went the superhero route. And I was enticed by that because I love superhero stuff. But a lot of that superhero stuff just wasn't that great. It started off great, but then it later dipped down in quality. And this brings me to the next person, Greg Berlanti. He was the person who was like, responsible for the Arrowverse on the CW, and he was an executive producer on this show. And when it comes to him, he has a huge track record. And I have mixed feelings about him as a showrunner and stuff, because like when he started off in the Arrowverse, it was great. Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, like all those shows he created, and it was pretty good. And also like Supergirl, they was pretty good in the first season. By the second season, they were still fairly good, but then some of them started to drop in quality just a little bit. And that's because he made his superhero stuff way too soft and everything. And then he started adding in way too many characters and then adding way too many subplots. And then it got to the point where he was stretched so thin that he basically just left and was still executive produced, but he was no longer creating. And when he left, it's when it started to really dip down in quality. But he was stretched too thin, creating multitude of shows. He's even responsible for some of the DC Universe stuff like Titans and Doom Patrol and stuff like that. So he was really being pushed too far over his limit and couldn't really keep up. So he just executive produced while other people were like showrunners and stuff. And that's when the quality started to dip down. But whatever you feel about like the Arrowverse, you gotta admit, the CW and the Arrowverse gave us more DC content than DC and Warner Brothers ever did. And they also introduced people to way more superheroes that people never saw on screen. So even though it started to suck, you gotta give it up to the man and stuff. But then, so he brought in a showrunner for the show who wrote the pilot and stuff. Diablo Cody. Now, I've mentioned her before on Lisa Frankenstein. I love Lisa Frankenstein. And this should have been like a sure thing with her, helming it and everything and writing the script. But somehow it just didn't. For whatever reason, they wanted to go the adult route with Powerpuff Girls. Or should I just say Powerpuff? Because that's what it was called. The girls are now adults. Their personalities are so different now. And even all the characters' personalities are different now. And that is the problem. I believe they got somebody who was not familiar with the source material. Probably watched a couple of episodes, got snippets here and there, and be like, okay, now let's change this and do that. Sometimes that can work and sometimes it does not. And here it did not work, because when I watched this trailer, I realized something. A lot of the girls' personalities were just different. The professor's personality was slightly different. Miss Bellum seemed slightly different. And it just didn't feel like them. You know what I'm saying? And so I remember hearing a while back that after the pilot was shot and whoever at the CW saw it, they're like, no, 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 no. Redo this entire thing. And I mean the entire thing. And so around 2022, they had to redo the entire pilot. But there was a bit of a snag. Chloe Bennett, who's supposed to play Blossom, she left the project because of scheduling conflicts. I don't believe that. I believe she saw that pilot, saw the costumes, saw everything else, saw how much they changed from everything else, and just kind of like, you know what? I'm not going to let my career die on this hill. I'm taking another project. And so the lead of the show, the lead of the leader, or the lead, or the leader of the Powerpuff Girls left. And so it was kind of like, who the heck are they going to get to replace her? There was never no word. Years would go by, and the CW's all like, we're still making it. But I'm like, I don't believe them, because there's been no word of a replacement, no nothing. There's been no footage. There was leaked images and stuff. And then it was finally announced it was getting canceled. But it shouldn't have been to no surprise, because the script leaked online. And not only that, but like the CW was going through another overhaul. They were about to be bought out by that of Nexstar, because the people who was running the CW just finally had enough and somebody like, look, this ain't making us no money. We about to sell. And if you look at the CW now that it's owned by Nexstar, you will not recognize it whatsoever. There are no more superhero shows on there. There are no more teen like dramas. There are no more YA dramas, no more adult YA type dramas. It's nothing but sports cop shows. And I mean cop shows, I mean like an actual real show like Cops, where you see a real police officer arrest like a real person who's doing like a real bad thing. There's a bunch of Canadian drama, like family dramas now. It does not look the same. And so that was the end of, like, you know, the Powerpuff Girls like reboot. And I remember when the script the script leaked. I'm putting two words together. It sounded awful, because they really tried to make the girls ultra adult. You know, similar to what a lot of stuff has been doing now, like Riverdale, Velma from that Scooby-Doo type show, the Chilling Adventures of like Sabrina, like all these kiddie type projects from back in the day are now getting the ultra gritty, dark reboot, like, you know, formula and stuff, because in it, when the girls finally come back, they're talking about how Bubble had like leaked nudes on the internet, and how Buttercup is always randomly banging a woman and everything, and a different one every night. And it's just kind of like, what? Now, of course, you need to see it to believe it, because if you just hear it and everything, it sounds odd and cringy. Maybe there's better context to it. Maybe there's not. Heck if I know. But it just didn't feel like it was gonna do any good. Like, if it was to ever be made, it probably would have lasted just one season. Also, it's in a different time era. If this would have came out in the early 2000s or late 90s, it probably would have fared a little bit better and everything. Because, you know, but then it would have looked also a whole lot different. Remember Smallville and Birds of Prey, how like ultra preppy those shows felt and everything. Maybe if it would have came out in the 60s around the time of, like, you know, Adam West show, maybe. But then again, the cartoon wasn't around back then. And so, you know, it is weird when you see something like the Adam West Batman show, and as campy as it is, and people accept that, but then they reject something like this, because we are now living in different times. Everything is more serious now, you know? Everything is more logical. And if you were to try to make this show with adults, and the way it looked all colorful and bright, it just would not have worked. That's why I think it would have worked a bit better if it was with the kids. Now, what exactly were some of the things like I had personal problems with? Like, my personal problems were just like the looks, the costumes, and the hair. If you know me, you know I could care less about race. I don't care if they race bend something. I don't care if they gender bend something. It better have a logical point. But race bending, I do not care. And they race bent two of the girls here. One is Asian, Chloe Bennett, playing Blossom. But when you look at her, you can't tell she's half Asian. She mostly just looks white. And then there is the new girl, I think Yana Pino or something like that. I literally have no idea who she is, and she's black. And so, like, other than that, they changed their personalities and hairstyles. Now, this is the leaked photo that came out a long time ago. Costume wise, I hate it. These costumes look so cheap, so uninspired, that I bet you they was only supposed to be shown very briefly in the show, because you see them wear other like outfits, or maybe this is just they're gonna go back to wearing their superhero outfits. But other than that, they look worse than what a cosplayer can do. Cosplaying has went up since it first started, and there are some people who can create some great cosplay. This looks like thin, cheap material with these ugly leather belts, and it just does not look good. And it just makes you uninterested. Like and they're too tall. It needed to be kids, because these if they're gonna make them adults, they're gonna have to upgrade their outfits. And this was not it. Like if they would have wore like maybe like a pantsuit and some type of like tank top crop or something like that, or just something on like more superhero-y, like Electra from the Daredevil movie years ago. Something like that. Something more superhero-y, like, you know what I'm saying? I would have accepted something like that, but nothing like this. Or if you're gonna put them back in skirts or dresses, make it more adult looking, but not um streetwalker level. Like just make it something that, like, you know, maybe like something Pretty Little Liars, like something like that. Like they used to dress very adult, you know, their characters were teenagers. Now another big criticism I had was the hair. When it comes to Blossom, she's the only one whose hair is similar to that of the cartoon, but it's not strawberry blonde slash red. It's just Chloe's natural brown hair. They needed to dye it strawberry blonde. But for the most part, hers looks close enough to that of the cartoon. The other two I have major problems with. Dove Cameron, who plays Bubbles, she has the pigtails, yes, but her pigtails are more poofy and put more like higher up. Here they just sloop down and they're long and stringy. They look more like, you know, cartoon dog ears or something like that. And I don't like how long and stringy they are. They should have been poofier, shorter, and like, you know, maybe have some curls in there or something, because you're supposed to have that cute, adorable look. Then there is Buttercup, and Buttercup hair is hard to describe. It's kind of like a bob that's feathered back. And here, the actress who plays Buttercup does not have that. They actually had a couple of different hairstyles for the actress who plays Buttercup, none that resembles that of the actual cartoon. They should have just gave her a short bob and put it back. And I get it, they wanted to give her, even in her little child form, she had big, poofy, curly hair. That's not Buttercup. And I get it because the actress is black. They wanted to give her more like a black hairstyle. And I totally understand that. But this is a character that has a very unique hairstyle. If you was going to give her a black curly hairstyle, then give her one that looks reminiscent to that of the cartoon. The personalities are what really get me. So we don't see much of, say, like Blossom's personality. But we know when it comes to Blossom, she has to be the perfect one. Like, everything about her has to be perfect. She's always in charge, she's always in command. And so, like, in this, I think she asked about daylight savings or something like that. Like, she wants to know about that, but in a nerdy kind of way, but not in that cool bossy kind of way. But then it's like, after killing Mojo and, well, wait, yeah, Mojo. They changed. I'll get to the whole Mojo Jojo thing later. But after killing like Mojo and everything, they all do their separate things. And when she comes back, there isn't really much that tells us about her. And so, like, other than she starts to crush on Mojo's like son Jojo and everything. And so, like, it's kind of offensive they made the Asian girl the smart one of this show. I mean, really, like, you had to do that. But then it's funny because, like, when you look at her younger self really looks Asian, and then like the adult version, just like a tiny bit. And that's no offense to her. Like, truly, there's no offense to her. But it's like when you look at her, she just looks like a white girl and everything. But I do believe the actress probably left because she did not want that hurting her career. I mean, she's a TV star. She's a former K-pop singer. She's probably doing some movies here and there, and she doesn't want this to ruin her, So when it comes to Dove Cameron, I thought she would have hit this out the park playing Bubbles and everything. Because not like, it's like Bubbles is like, the adorable one. She giggles a lot. Like, she's cutesy wootsy. She's a little dumb in the head and everything. She does have some level of intelligence, but not like Blossom. And she's not the strongest fighter, she can. But it's like she's just so sweet and innocent. And they made her the complete opposite of that. She's still dumb, but more of a dumb blonde kind of way. She's all about attention and fashion and all this other stuff. And she just comes off as like the dumb valley girl type thing. And not so much like Bubbles, you know what I'm saying? There's a reason why they call her Bubbles. She's bubbly and everything. Now, the most different personality of them all is probably that of Buttercup. Buttercup is narcissistic. She thinks she's the best fighter. She is extremely angry and everything. And she beats the stuffing out of people. Like, she has some severe anger issues. And here, she's more of the passive aggressive, like, what's that term? Progressive type person and everything. Like, and so she doesn't want to wear a dress because it's not neutral gender or something like that. And she doesn't want to conform to, like, society and be the way they want her to be. Not to mention, like, whatchamacallit. They put like every black stereotype they could in her, like modern Hollywood wise. She's like the big progressive lesbian. I would have switched her and probably Blossom up. Like, had Blossom be the black one and have like Buttercup be like the Asian one, and so, like, not only that, but like, if they were going to have somebody fall in love with JoJo, why wasn't it Buttercup? Because Buttercup is the only one in the cartoon to ever have a crush on, like, somebody else. But then again, they made her into a lesbian, so she's not going to crush on him. And you don't see nothing about her being angry. Like, she's not pissed off, like angry, shouting, hyper volatile, nothing like that. She's just kind of like chill, but it's like she's angry in a progressive advocate kind of way and everything. And that's not who she is. She doesn't even shout girl power in the show, but she only did it as kind of like a gag because her clone version did that and stuff. But she's just a grumpy, pissed off, sassy one and everything. And I don't see it here. And not only that, but her adult life, she became a firefighter, which is kind of odd because it's kind of like, Yeah, she is all about saving people, but she's more about beating the snot out of people. So you think she would have became like a cop or something like that. So they just completely changed like her personality. I guess they didn't want the angry black like, stereotype. But then why make her black on the show? I mean, that's literally who that character. This is why her and the Blossom actress should have like switched places and stuff. Now, as for Professor Utonium, they picked Donald Faison, I think that's how you say his last name, to play him. I always thought this was an odd pick. Not because he's black, I don't care about that. But because, see, the thing about the professor is that in season 1 and 2, he has a very calm demeanor. He's stern. He rarely raises his voice. And if he does, it's normally in panic mode. After the movie and then into season 3, they kind of changed him. And he's, well, actually a little bit in season 2 also, but mostly in season 3, he's a bit different. He's more chaotic. He's freaks out a lot and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to Donald, I can see him doing the freak out part, but I've never seen him do like the calm demeanor, stern type thing because he's always played like when I saw him in Clueless, he was the angry person who would like freak out, you know what I'm saying? And I never saw that calm demeanor side of him, even in some of the other stuff I've seen him in, but I've never seen him in Scrubs. So maybe. But his role in this was weird, man. It's like he exploits the girls and their fame. He makes tons of money off them, which is something he never did back in the day in the old cartoon show. And when the girls leave, he brings them back by creating all these monsters and robots and everything and kind of turns villainous to bring them back. I don't know if he did that just so they can come back and fight and he can make more money off them or because, they're apart and they're not who they used to be. Because, the show got canceled and stuff. Also, he needs hair. Like, I'm sorry. I know the dude went bald. And I know he likes to shave his head bald. But the dude needs hair. Now, as for like the little cartoon and the merch they made to tie into like the show, I did think it was funny and cute how like they brought in like the old cartoon and like they brought in the toys and stuff from back in the day. But I didn't understand it because I'm just kind of like the girls don't look nothing like that, not even when they was younger. And not only that, but they race bent like some of the girls. So why are the original girls looking the same way they did? And then of course Buttercup throws in that line, they whitewashed them like, okay, that's clever. I like that. I like that. That's clever. Whatever. Some people call this cringe. I don't care. But that was clever and everything. Because that's really what they do in like Hollywood marketing and stuff. They whitewash the crap out of stuff. There used to be a Fox Kids show called Mystic Knights of Tiranogue, and they had one black character in there, and he was part of the main cast, one of the superheroes. But for his toy, and toys come out before the show does, they made him white for some reason. And nobody to this day can understand that. So yeah, they do that and stuff. Now, Sarah Bellum is played by Robin Likely, I think her name is. And she doesn't look like Miss Sarah Bellum. We don't know how she acts, but the fact that she's at the girl's house with Professor Utonium, it just seems more like she's a mother figure and everything. Like, the thing about her that was interesting is that she was really the person in charge of like the city for the most part, because you had the mayor who was an idiot, and she also helped keep things in check while the mayor would do something stupid. She made sure that he signed whatever papers he had to sign and did whatever it is he had to do because he could not function without her and stuff. Here, and not only that, but you couldn't see her face. Like, her face was excluded from the screen. All you saw was some big bushy hair and, like, her body. And her body was a play on, like, the sexy secretary. But unlike being the dumb secretary, she was actually very intelligent. And she knew how to use her feminine wiles to get whatever she needed to teach the girls that, even though she never had to do that and stuff. And it's just like here, she just looks ordinary. Now, I've said it before. Christina Hendricks, she should have played Miss Bellum because, like, she's busty, she's curvy, she has the red hair, and like, she's used to wearing business dresses from her show Mad Men and stuff. Nothing against Robin, but it's just, she looks more like Mrs. Bellum. Now, the Mojo Jojo situation. I knew going into this that Mojo Jojo was gonna be human because they announced who his son was gonna be, and the son was gonna be named Jojo. And they never said voices Jojo; they just said played Jojo. So that made me think, okay, they're gonna make him human, and so most likely Mojo would be human as well. That is lazy. That is as lazy as Titans, not like, having Beast Boy have green fur and Starfire not having orange skin. I don't understand what's up with Hollywood, where like they don't want to paint like certain stars supposed to be a certain color. They do it in Star Trek and they do it in Star Wars. You can do it for like another show. Yeah, it's hours in the makeup, but who the heck cares? You know what I'm saying? And all they had to do was get the dude a monkey suit and a believable mask. That's all they had to do. I'm not looking for a Planet of the Apes style, like, monkeys and stuff. But you can get a convincing looking monkey suit and a monkey mask. Just have like a child or a person with dwarfism play Mojo Jojo. But like and they even split the dude's name up. So Mojo is the dad and he dies. And so then you have Jojo, who is like the son, and he becomes mayor and wants to take over because he hates the Powerpuff Girls because they killed his dad and everything. And then he starts to crush on Blossom. And it's always those ships. I hate ships and everything. And it's just not making them monkeys is a disservice, man. Like, that's part of the charm and fun of it. The dude's brains on the outside of his head. And I guess this is supposed to be Princess, I guess. But she doesn't have red hair. She kind of sounds like her. She's not as mean as her, but, and she's not even wearing the correct outfit. Like, and then why is she not an adult, but the other ones are? Like, whatever. I completely forgot about that. So the powers are interesting. You can tell this was rushed together and they just used whatever crappy CGI they could, which is shocking because Greg Berlanti can do some pretty good stuff with CGI on his shows. Supergirl could fly very well, and The Flash has some pretty good graphics trying to do what they did on a TV budget. With all of that said, oh, not to mention, Titans had a really good CGI and stuff. Now, with all that said, I find it odd that Bubbles is the one shooting out ice breath. That's not even her power. That's Blossom's power and Blossom's power only. Now, as for the laser vision that Blossom is doing, all girls can do that, but it's normally just laser blast like Superman has. But there are times when one time and one time only, it was a laser blast with like electrical discharge coming out. So I can accept that. As for Buttercup, shooting out that green plasma, fiery looking stuff out her hands, she only did that one time and one time only. That was in like season 3 when they started changing stuff because of the movie. But for the most part, all they really should have did was have them use laser vision, laser blast, whatever, X-ray vision, super hearing, super speed, invulnerability, and flight. That's really all they needed. And then just let Blossom do the ice stuff. And it doesn't even come out cool looking like in the cartoon. It's coming out like typical, like icy smoke. And it's supposed to come out kind of like this stream of like crystal, like ice and everything. That what makes it look so cool from when, like, cause they made it look like Superman did it. Not only that. So we got robbed, we got gypped. This could have been something special. They just would have took their time, put some like love and tender care up in this thing, man. And it's just like it could have been really cool and like really fun to watch and everything. But then again, you know, you have to age the girls up once they start aging on the show, or probably have to do like a recast. But I mean, like other little kid stuff gets adapted, like The Worst Witch, and you know, into a TV show, and that's fun. Why couldn't they make it fun here? And the flying on the Netflix Worst Witch is really good and really awesome. Why in the world couldn't they do that here? Like it really pisses me off and everything. Because it's like that this would have been so much fun to watch, man. Like it would have been so much fun. And then the green gang, you're like painting them green and having them act all stupid and have them get the snot punched out of them and everything. Or Fuzzy Lumpkins, they wouldn't have even done him. They would have made him human too. And like all the like what would they have done to him? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the devil. Like it makes you wonder like how they would have goofed that up. You know what I'm saying? And who would have played him? That's the thing. Like the endless possibilities of what we could have gotten, man. And it's just like they have to ruin everything. Like there was a movie that came out about some kid in like a crayon and he draws something and it comes to life. It's based on like a book and animated movie, and they made a live action movie about it, and they made it to where he's an adult now, and it flopped. Plus Zachary Levi is in it, so you know it's gonna flop. And it's just kind of like, even though I have no idea what that movie franchise thing is about, they still did the whole stupid thing of making them into an adult. And I get it because the people who watched this were younger. I wasn't young. I mean, I was a teenager, but I wasn't younger. And they're older now, but that don't mean that all the adult people want to see an adult version of what they watched when they was younger. That's supposed to be for younger people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody wants that. Sometimes it's just best to stick to what they were. Little girls beating up adults and monsters and flying around and saving the city of Townsville. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.